Okay, so I think I want to start by just looking over the pseudocode a little bit. And this is a sort of thing where it will probably take kind of spiraling around to it a few times before it really sinks in. But let's take a look at it first, and then we will trace through an example. And then when you are on your homework, you'll have a chance to first trace through another example, and then actually implement the code for it. So we're going to have,
Make sure to record before we.
yes, I actually remembered this time. We're recording. I don't know if it's
Oh, I didn't catch that. My bad. Yeah.
I don't know if it's even possible for you all to tell that or not, but yeah, I snuck it in there. Um, so we're going to create an empty queue called the bank queue, and we're going to create an empty priority queue called event list PQ. We're going to set teller available to true. We're going to read the data file, which consists of pairs, right? Where the first item in the pair is either an arrival time or a departure time, and the second item in the pair is a transaction time. This is what actually tripped me up on Tuesday. I think transaction time is actually sort of ambiguous. I think duration would probably be better, because transaction time could mean the time that the transaction begins, right? But what it actually means is the duration of the transaction. So anyway, we're adding those pairs to the priority queue. So when we're done with this loop, we will have a priority queue filled with arrival events. And then basically this loop just says, as long as the priority queue is not empty, if the new event is an arrival event, process an arrival, else process a departure. So for processing an arrival, the easy one is if if there's a line, or if there's no line but the teller's not available, then we're just going to put the customer at the end of the line, and that's it. If there's a teller available and there's no line, then what we have to do is we have to create a departure event that represents when that customer is going to leave, and then insert that departure event into the priority queue, so that it will be processed later. If we have a departure event, then we execute this function. The easy part here is if someone leaves and there's no line, then all we do is we say teller available gets true, right? When I say if someone leaves, that means they just finished their transaction, right? They finish their transaction, there's nobody in line, so all we're going to do is just say teller available gets true, and that's it. If there is a line, then what we have to do when we have a departure is process the next person in line and create a departure event for that person, right? So we're going to take that person out of the queue, and then we're going to create a new departure event that represents when that person leaves, and then we're going to add that departure event to the queue. So that's the sort of the rough outline of this algorithm. Let's go ahead and run a little simulation. So I'm going to use, let's see. So I'm going to make a table. Hold on. So I'm going to have current time, a column for current time, I'm going to have a column for the queue. I'm going to have a column for the priority queue. I'm going to abbreviate a little bit. And I'm going to have a column for teller available. Oops. Let's see here. I'll just make this a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm probably going to need more space on the priority queue. All right, so when we start, the current time is going to be 0. Looks like well, there's actually not a statement for that in the pseudocode, but we'll have to take care of that. The bank queue is empty. The priority queue is going to have the 4 items, the 4 events that I read from the input file. So those are going to be 2, 3, 4, 2.
Are you using a text file to keep track of all this?
Yeah, sorry, I just realized I'm not sharing it, huh?
Yeah.
I was doing so well with remembering to record. There, is that better?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the heads up. 6, 3, and 8, 5. And teller available is going to have to get pushed out here a little further. I'm just going to call it TA. And color available, we see right here, the first line of code says set that to true. So that's going to be true. Okay, so this is the situation when we finish this first while loop, that is processing the input file, putting all of those events into the priority queue. Now we get down here to the event loop. In other words, the loop that is going to be processing all of the events that are in the priority queue. So event list priority queue is not empty. So so the new event is going to be the top item in the priority queue, which is going to be this 2, 3. Current time is going to get the time of the new event. So that's the 2 here. So let me put 2. And the new event is an arrival event. So we're going to process an arrival. Okay, so down here, this arrival event parameter is the 2, 3. So we remove that from the priority queue. So the priority queue then will look like this. Okay. Now, if bank queue is empty, it is, and teller available, it is. So we have to process this arrival. The way we're going to process this arrival is we're going to create a departure event to represent when that customer leaves. So the departure time is going to be current time, which is 2, plus the transaction time in the event, which is this 3 here, right? So I guess maybe it might be clearer if I have a note that to remind myself what the current arrival event is that we're working on. So current time is 2. The transaction time in the arrival event is 3. So we're saying the new departure, the departure time is 5. So we're going to create a departure event with the departure time of 5 and add it to the priority queue. So that makes this 5. And then it's in a departure event, there's no duration. So I just put a dash there. And then we set teller available to false. Okay, so that's it for process arrival. Now we go back up to back up here where we called process arrival. We're at the bottom of this while loop, so we go to the top of the while loop. Event list priority queue is still not empty. So now the new event is going to be the 4.2, because that's the top item in the priority queue. The new event is an arrival event. So I'm going to process an arrival again. So I come down here, and just to remind myself now, the arrival event is 4, 2. Okay, so event list priority queue dot remove. So this is starting a new row here. Each time we go through that while loop up there, we should start a new row. Oh, okay, so I forgot to do this. Current time, it gets the time of the new event. So this should change to 4, because 4 is the time of the new event. That was back up here in Simulate. Now we're down here. Event list, oh, I forgot. I should probably just indicate that at this point, the bank queue is still empty also. Okay, so we're processing this arrival. We see if bank queue is empty. That's true. Bank queue is empty. And teller available. Oh, that's not true. Teller is not available. Ah, darn it. I keep skipping over steps. Sorry. Backing up a little bit, the first thing we do inside here is we remove the top item from the priority queue. So I forgot to do that. Okay, now we're in the if statement. The bank queue is empty, but the teller's not available. So that means that I'm going to execute the else part, which is simply put that customer into the bank queue. So now my bank queue is going to have 4, 2 in it. And that's it. Okay, now we're back up here in our while loop. Let's see, teller available still false. So since I'm entering my while loop again, I'm going to add a row to my table. New event gets event list. So new event is now going to be the 6.3. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But doesn't, yeah, it's a priority queue, right?
Right. So at this point, the top item, when I say new event gets event list priority queue dot peak, that's going to give me this 5, dash, right? The departure event that we created. So current time gets time of the new event. So current time becomes 5. And if the new event is an arrival event, it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to process a departure. So going down here to process departure. Now this departure event parameter, just to remind myself, is going to be that 5, dash. Okay, so executing this function, first thing we do is we remove it from the priority queue. And now the priority queue is just going to be like that. Oops. Then we say if the bank queue is not empty, the bank queue is not empty. So we're going to have to take this customer here and create a departure event to represent when that customer departs. So customer gets bank queue.peak. Let's go ahead and just keep track of that. Customer is going to be 4,2. Bank queue.dequeue. That means the bank queue goes back to being empty. Departure time gets 5, current time is 5, plus the transaction time or the duration in customer, which is 2. So the departure time is going to get 7. So we're going to create a new departure event with a departure time of 7 and add it to the priority queue. Okay so far? Okay. So we finished process departure. So now we're back up at the top of that loop. So we're entering the loop again. So I'm going to make a copy of my row, start a new row, I guess is what I should say. So the new event is going to be the 6-3 now. So current time is going to get 6. And if new event is an arrival event, it is. So I'm going to process an arrival. So now the arrival event is that 6,3. Remove it from the priority queue. Customer gets, so customer is going to be the 6-3. I think we can just remember that. It's sitting right there. If the bank queue is empty, it is, and the teller is available, it's not. So we're not going to do this. We're going to do the else, which is just put the new customer in the bank queue. So this goes from being empty to having 6,3 in it. And that's the end of process arrival. So I'm back up to my main loop. Since I'm starting my main loop again, I'm going to start a new row in my table. New event gets list priority queue.peak. So now the 7- is going to be the new event. The current time is going to be 7 because that's the time of the new event. So change that to, whoops, wrong. Change that to 7. And now we're going, this is a departure event, so we're going to call process departure. So the departure event is the 7-. Whoa. So event list priority queue got removed. So get rid of this 7-. If the bank queue is not empty, which it's not, so that means that we're going to have to take the first person in line and put them create a new departure event for that person who's at the front of the line. So customer gets bank queue.peak. The customer is going to get the 6,3. Dequeue the bank queue. So this goes away and it becomes empty. Whoops. Empty. Departure time gets current time, which is 7, plus the transaction time in the customer, which is 3. So the departure time is going to be 10. And then we just create a new departure event using that 10, and we add it to the priority queue. Okay, everyone good with that? So we're at the bottom of the process departure function. We go back up to the top of the loop. I'm at the top of my loop, so I'm gonna start a new row in my table. The new event is gonna be the top item in the priority queue, which is the 8,5. The current time is the time of the new event, which is 8. So I'm going to change this to 8. If the new event is an arrival event, it is. So I'm going to process an arrival. Processing an arrival with arrival event equal to 8,5. So event list party queue dot remove. So we're going to remove the 8,5. So customer gets the customer referenced in the arrival event. So customer is also 8,5. If the bank queue is empty, which it is, and there's a teller available, which there is not, so that means we're not going to do this part. We're just going to put the customer in line. So that means put the customer 8,5 here in the bank queue. And that's it for process arrival. Go back to the top of the loop again. Since we're back at the top of the loop, I'm going to start a new row on my table. New event gets event list priority queue dot peak. So that's going to be this 10 here, 10 comma dash. The current time of that is 10. So our current time becomes 10. It is a departure event, so we're going to process departure. And down here, process departure. The departure event is this 10 comma dash. Oh, yeah, you can remember that. So start executing the statements inside process departure. We remove the top item from the priority queue. So now the priority queue is empty. If the bank queue is not empty, which it's not, so we're going to execute these. Customer gets bank queue dot peak. So that's this 8,5. DQ the bank queue. So now the bank queue is empty. And then these three statements basically create a new departure event and put it into the priority queue. So the departure time will be the current time, which is 10, plus the transaction time in the customer, which is 5. So the departure time is going to be 15. So we create a new departure event with the time of 15 and put it in the priority queue. All right, that's it for process departure. So we're back up at the top of our while loop again. I'm at the top of the while loop, so that means I'm gonna start a new row in my table. New event gets event list party queue dot peak, so that's going to be the 15 comma dash. The current time equals the time of the new event, so current time is 15. The new event is not an arrival event, so we're going to process a departure. Okay, so in the departure function, this departure event is that 15 comma dash. Event list party queue dot remove. So we remove the top item from the priority queue, which causes it to now be empty. If the bank queue is not empty, well, it is empty, so this is false. So we come down here and we simply set teller available to be true. And then that's it for process departure. We go back up to our loop, we get to the top. We see that the condition of the while loop is now false, so we're done. So in part one of the homework, this table right here is what I'm looking for. Anybody want to ask a question about any of that? Go over any of it again. Any other questions about queues or priority queues or the assignment? Okay. Great. I will make sure to post the video. I think I may be a little behind on that. So if you're looking for the video and it's not there, please just shoot me an email. And I think I'm going to just stop there for today. On next Tuesday, we can go over the queue implementations, which is next week's assignment. I think that'll be fun. So if there are no further questions or comments, I will see you all on Tuesday, and good luck with the assignment.
Thanks.
All right, have a good weekend.